Hello there guys, it's Joey and this is going to be some spell work with the Ogham, Fearn or Alder. So apologies for the lateness of the videos. It's been a very busy time lately, it's been kind of hectic and I've been under the weather and things, so we will try and get back on track ASAP. So this is spell work for the inner shield. So we talked about Fearn or Alder being particularly warrior-esque in its energies. It's particularly to do with the spiritual warrior, and I'm going to do a couple more videos surrounding this concept and talking about it and discussing it and debating it in particular regards to Morrigan energies as well, so that's coming up in the next few videos. But this particular piece of spell work is to do with the inner shield, and that is to do with building your inner protection, your inner shield, your inner warrior self, by confronting your own negative manifestations, your own problematic behaviours, your own vices, if you like. It's about balancing the fire and water elements within yourself and helping you reharness those energies that you have put into negative thought patterns or processes or behaviours into more positive, if you like, ways of developing a relationship with yourself. I'm always very hesitant to call any particular behaviour, personal behaviour, wholly negative or wholly positive, because everything in balance, which is indeed what Alder talks to herself. So it's about recognising your own thought patterns, behaviour processes, and then really internalising them, and not so much trying to rid yourself of them, but rather trying to rebalance them, trying to restructure how you talk to yourself, how you see certain ways of behaving, see yourself engaging in the same negative patterns over and over, and look for cause and effect and redress the balance within yourself. So for this setup, everything within it, in a relatively simple setup, is for the balance of fire and water in particular. So I have, you can't really see it, but there is frankincense and myrrh incense, with frankincense being more fiery and solar and myrrh representing a more watery aspect. We have 3 candles for the fire element and 3 bowls of water for the water element. I have these 2 smaller bowls and they do have water in, and they're actually tea light holders, so you can get hold of them quite easily, relatively cheaply. Wilko's and places like that in the UK, quite easily they'll have them. And then I have a, I did have, trying to lift and we went the other way, a white candle, a blue candle and a red candle. And you've got red for your fire aspect, blue for your water aspect, and white as sort of a spirit or balanced colour. You could also use purple, but I'm incorporating the colour breaking magic, the colour correspondences for colour banishing or colour breaking, which we'll go through as well. And that's why I decided to go with white. So also worth mentioning, if I was to twist the altar a little bit, the blue candle would be in the west for the generalised, I'm going to say the correspondence is at least in the northern hemisphere for where the water corner is, inverted commas. It depends how you feel about it. If that's not something you want to align, then it's no big deal, but put these things where you feel most comfortable. And then of course the red is, if literally I'd have to twist the altar a little bit, but it sits by the window for lunar magic and things, so that's why it's there. And then that would be in the fire corner. So for red magic, colour magic, red is used in colour breaking magic, of breaking spells of chronic fatigue, lack of passion, or feeling unrooted. And you can use this in one of two ways. You can use this to break anything that's going on in forms of someone has actually cast against you in that kind of magic, or you're using that energy to break the manifestation of those things within yourself, within your life, within your inner warrior that you have manifested. So it's a little bit like you've created your own negative manifestation spell work. Blue is going to break spells in general, but particularly to do with confused or negative thinking, disturbed sleep, and unpleasant dreams. And white breaks spells in general, especially those that manifest in unpredictable ways, but it also helps to reverse static or confused energy and lifts jinxes in general. So it's a good all-rounder. And then I have the Alder card and Ogham there. And then in the centre we have a bowl of water, and there's an amethyst point in there, and then there are 9 ruby in lepidolite tumblestones around the bottom. Ruby in lepidolite is particularly good for this for a number of reasons. One, ruby is fire. Lepidolite is water. So they combine into a crystal that really, really represents the power of Alder really, really well. It represents personal transformation, which is the goal of the Inward Shield spell. However, if you cannot get a hold of ruby in lepidolite, which I know a lot of people cannot, I quite frequently pick up an extra one every time I go to the holistic shop just because I love it so much. Then you want to, perhaps, you could go for half and half. I have 9, so you'd have to have 5 of one and 4 of another. I'm trying to think what would work really well. I guess it's really up to you. You could go with an amethyst, because amethyst is one of the crystals associated with Fearn, and if you could get hold of some red amethyst as well as normal amethyst, that kind of works. Maybe some amethyst and ametrine, or just quartz. And again, if you can't get the candles, then tea lights would do. Okie dokie. And then the amethyst point in the centre, surrounded by water. So the amethyst is a symbol not only of the Ogham, correspondence of the Ogham, Fearn or Alder, but also represents the point to which spirit is entering into the body. The water surrounding is a very Celtic notion of how spirit is perceived by the Celts. To this day, within the lore, the idea is that water is a conduit to the soul, to the realm of spirit, to the realm of the other world, to the point where they would place offerings in the water and they were for the gods and they would be carried into the realm of the spirit. And that caves and places where water and earth met were particularly, and still are, considered places of deity and worship and sacredness, if you like. So the amethyst point here is about taking the lessons into ourselves and taking the spirit into ourselves to become the spiritual warrior. Underneath the amethyst point, you would, before you put your water in, you might wish to place a piece of paper with particular things that were bothering you. So, if you had noticed that certain patterns of behaviour kept coming up within your own psyche, and this is all about yourself, it's about acknowledging your own faults, internalizing them without personal blame and redressing the balance, you would write those down. I have a tendency to do whatever. I have a tendency to lose my temper. I have a tendency to say the wrong thing. I have a tendency to whatever. You know, whatever it is, and then you would write it down on your piece of paper, preferably in dissolvable ink, and fold it over 3 times, place it under the amethyst, place the amethyst on top and pour the water on. And you are giving those things up to the realm of spirit. And as you were doing so, you would wish to suggest to your deity or to spirit or to the universe in general that you are giving these things up to the realm of your spirit for the consideration that they are holding you back as a spiritual warrior. So if it was me, and I'd written these things down and folded them up and placed them in and put the amethyst on top and poured the water in, I would be saying things along the line of, Morrigan, these things are holding me back from being a spiritual warrior. I give them back now in offering, in acknowledgement that I recognize these behaviors are something that I have been doing that take away from whom I want to be. Please aid me in the process of personal transformation. On each one of the candles you might wish to write one of the behaviors appropriate to the colour of the candle that you so wished to redress the balance. So red is your chronic fatigue, your lack of passion, or you're feeling ungrounded. These can often be symptomatic of other problems, of other imbalances within. And if you're not entirely sure at the root of the problem, then you write the symptom instead on the candle. Feeling ungrounded, for example. And on blue, then you would write your negative thinking, disturbed sleep, unpleasant dreams, a tendency to think negatively of yourself or of others. And then in white, you can do your confused energy, your staticness, you're not moving on, you're not moving forward, that sort of energy, and you write that onto the candle. And as you're burning each of those candles, you're then going to meditate on the process of what each of these things actually is, what they mean for you, where they are coming from, the lack of balance within yourself as a spiritual warrior. And this is sort of a spell work to do in process with personal work, personal meditation, looking inward at the self, taking personal responsibility for the behaviours of yourself, the negative things that keep manifesting, that keep causing problems within your own life, and how best to redress that balance. So that's going to be it for this spell work suggestion, this spell layout. Again, it's a suggestion, it's something that you can tweak. It's not going to be step by step because I don't believe in giving step by step spell work, because I think it's important for people to consider the elements of the spell and then really take that in and see how it fits with them as a person or a witch or a spiritual person, however you wish to see it. But I did like this idea. I think it's a great one, especially with today being the lunar eclipse or the full moon. So I thought I would get this done and shared. Many blessings.